You're welcome back to the program now. Let's give you some of our news in brief. Governor Kayode Fayemi has been engaging in a series of activities to mark the first year of his administration. It's the second administration in office. The governor observes the turning of the sod for the proposed justice building to accommodate staff of the Ministry of Justice. Well, to him, that is, it is imperative to improve on the welfare and motivation for judiciary staff and the entire workforce of the state. The governor also lays the foundation for the proposed new chambers of the council of traditional rulers in the state, where they can be comfortably accommodated to have progressive deliberations. He identifies as strategic the role of a traditional institution in the polity, assuring that his administration holds Ekiti monarchs in high esteem. The head of Ekiti Traditional Rulers Council applauds the project initiative and is promising that Ekiti monarchs will support the great visions of the Fayemi administration. Well, let's go back to our earlier conversation about the security situation in the Northeast, the fight against terror, and that shocking revelation by Senator Ndumia about over 800 Nigerian soldiers being lost to the war against terror from 2013 till date. We still have with us General Saad Abubakar, is a former director of military intelligence. He's in our Abuja studio, and right next to him is Mr. Kabir Adamu, a security expert. Mr. Adamu, before we went on that break, we were going to focus on the humanitarian situation in the Northeast. But just before that, I'd like to take you up on intelligence gathering briefly. How well are we doing with intelligence? Because we still have reports of attacks on communities that are close to Cameroon. And this is coming at a time when we've had reports saying Boko Haram has been largely decimated. So how well are we doing with intelligence gathering?
Some analysts are of the opinion that, you can win or lose a war with how effective and efficient the intelligence at your disposal. With regards to the Northeast, I think we can do better with intelligence gathering. Our military needs to enhance its ability to win the hearts and minds of the people in the Northeast. It is true that it will be able to gather enough intelligence, and I don't mean just any information. I mean intelligence that would allow it to know the whereabouts of the leadership of the two groups that are active in the Northeast. That's Jamaat al-Sunnah, Lil Dawati wal Jihad, and the Islamic State in West Africa province. It is intelligence that would allow it to know how their sources of funding is being generated. It is intelligence that would allow them know the weapon access by this group. So yes, we can do better, both human and technical intelligence. I know a lot of money has been spent by the different security agencies in procuring intelligence equipment. Again, I will go back to the earlier point I made, synergy between the various organizations. There was a presidential directive for the creation of an intelligence fusion center in the Northeast. To my knowledge, that center is yet to be created. If it were created, then it would be a pool where all the security agencies, both military and the non-military security agencies, will pool intelligence, and then that intelligence can now be used for winning the war.
Okay.
So going forward, I'm hoping to see that fusion center is created.
Well, it's good you talk about going forward. So, General Abubakar, aside the security situation is the obvious humanitarian situation. So in your opinion, what do we need to do to begin to step up issues of rehabilitation of people and rebuilding the Northeast? Because honestly, time is of the essence.
Well, okay, let me just add a little to what my colleague Kabir has said. The intelligence is not doing, could do better, but under the circumstances, I believe that the intelligence is doing as well. Is doing, they actually cannot a highly commendable support to the military operations, because they've got the sources, they get the information, and most times attacks, there's a forewarning of at least about 6 hours before any attack. I think the major problem that the military is facing in the Northeast is that of shortage of resources in terms of logistics, platforms, and what have you. Coming over to the humanitarian situation, I think going forward, what needs to be done is we need to stop playing politics with a security situation. this idea of technically defeated or whatever semantics we are using, I think it's not going to help us. We need to really look at the situation, the tactical situation and the operational situation on the ground, ensure that enough forces and logistics are pumped in to reduce and degrade the capacity of the insurgents to carry out armed attacks against the population, ensure that certain areas are secured for the return of civil population so that they could go back to their normal lives. As long as population are concentrated in internally displaced people's camps, then definitely the problem is far from over.
All right, General Saad Abubakar, I knew you couldn't pass off that question on intelligence, but we'd like to thank you so much for your time. We've been speaking with the former Director of Military Intelligence, General Saad Abubakar, and Mr. Kabir Adamu, a security expert. They both join us from our Abuja studio. Well, from security, we move to elections, and electoral stakeholders are to put in place strategic and deliberate interventions to address identified challenges militating against women, women participation in the electoral process in the country. And this call was made from the Executive Director, Challenged Parenthood Initiative, which is a non-governmental organization in Kogi State, Ms. Eunice Agbogun, during the Kogi West Joint Town Hall meeting organized by CPI and Participation Initiative for Behavioral Change in Development. Well, she said the Joint West Senatorial District Town Hall meeting was the conscious drive for peaceful and all-inclusive November 16 off-cycle governorship election in Kogi State.
We've had campaigns to stop violence against women in politics. We've also had campaigns to mobilize the young people to vote in this country and not to engage in violence. Now, it would be a shame if, in spite of all these efforts, we still have violence in Kogi State come the elections. But just to urge you that, just like I said before to the women, that everybody comes from a home. The young people who are engaged in violence come from homes. They all come from homes. So the women take it as a challenge to campaign against violence against them in politics. They also take it as a challenge to make sure the young people are not mobilized to harm others on election day.
It is incredibly important that the conditions for you to vote and that you're able to articulate your agendas are set now for this upcoming election and for the future.
Well, let's head over to Plateau State, where concerned groups are calling on the state government to revisit its appointments of Transition Management Committee chairmen in 4 local government areas of the state. Well, expressing their views at different forums, the groups described the appointments of the ruling party's candidates at local government elections as a new level of bias and injustice, which lacks neutrality and sensitivity on the part of government and can lead to what they call truncating the relative peace being experienced in the state.
We are not sponsored by anybody. We are doing this to ensure peace and justice, because what is done is likely to raise agitations. What has been done today is likely to raise agitation. The governor has said it repeatedly that we should give him peace and he will give us development. So we are ready to give him peace. All we need is justice and fairness. We are not here because of political party. We are here because we want peace and justice and fairness to everyone in Just Not local government.
Well, that's it on Lunchtime Politics. Thank you for watching. And don't forget, you can join the conversation on all our social media platforms. That's at Channels TV and at CTV Politics. I'm Kyle Kikiolu. To have a beautiful day ahead.